out, that would be awesome, but we can see it, so that's the important part.
Yes. Okay, great. So again, Heather Domlin, I'm currently serving as the CEO and General Manager for Mountain Line Transit, and we appreciate you having us here tonight. Mountain Line's mission is getting you where you want to go. We consider that to be our mission for the partners that we serve, as well as our riders and our employees. Next page. A quick refresher on what is Mountain Line. So we are Arizona's first intergovernmental public transportation authority. What that really means is that we are designated to perform public transit services on the behalf of our member agencies. And you can see on this screen, those member agencies include the city of Flagstaff, Cocunil Community College, Northern Arizona University, and Cocunil County. We were formed in 2006, just for those of you that are aware of that. Next page. If you're not familiar with our services, we wanted to share a quick look at our route map. So this does show where the routes go throughout our community. You can see the orange line in the upper left of the screen. That is Route 5, and it does serve the Cheshire area. That is our northwesternmost point. We have yellow and brown lines that extend down to Lake Mary Road on the most southern point of our services. That is routes 4 and 14 that serve also the community college. And then on the northeastern side of town, you'll see a red route in your upper right screen, and that is our Route 66 service that serves all the way out to the Christmas tree area. Our routes do have varying frequency from 20 minutes all the way out to 1 hour. That just means how often a bus comes past a stop. Next slide. Our current fleet includes 22 hybrid electric buses, 6 hybrid electric articulated buses. Oftentimes people call those our slinky buses. And then we have 8 paratransit vehicles currently in our fleet. We are transitioning to electric, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later in the presentation. Next slide. Our facilities include 164 bus stops. I'll start with that point. We actually have a team of 4 staff that manage those stops for cleanliness and serviceability. We have 2 connection centers, one downtown on Phoenix Avenue and one at the mall. And currently we operate 1 administrative office that includes 3 shops and 1 bus storage facility. Next slide. Mountain Line has worked hard to provide a valuable service and be good stewards of public dollars. This has resonated with the public, and Mountain Line has been successful in securing both support and funding. Next slide. This is our 20-year history. Mountain Line has increased in our ridership every year since it was first formed in 2001, with the exception of the last 2 years, which have been impacted by the pandemic. We do show a significant increase between 2011 and 2012, and this is due to the addition of Route 10 that connects NAU campus to Woodlands Village and the downtown Flagstaff area. This service is free to university students, and they make up about 50% of our ridership. As we've seen increases in ridership, our cost per passenger has simultaneously gone down over the years. Next slide. Narrowing our focus a little bit, this is our monthly ridership report. It's available on our website anytime you want to check it out. This compares the last 2 completed years with the current ongoing year. You can see in the lightest gray line, that is 2020, when we first started feeling the impacts of the pandemic, and then what our ridership looked like in 2021. In 2022, we are showing a recovery of ridership and actually projecting to be at 1.3 million riders this year. Next slide. Switching our focus a little bit from ridership to some of the financial data. This graph is to show our overall expenses. And you can see that the bus service is our largest program, with wages and benefits making up about 50% of total expenses. The next largest expense that we have across our programs is fuel. The county programs are illustrated here just to give you our full picture. General fund is Mountain Line's general fund, not to be confused with the city, and includes expenses for rebranding and memberships. These are expenses we cover with non-transit funding, like advertising. Next slide. Ultimately, who pays for Mountain Line includes 4 major sources. City of Flagstaff contributes with a 29.5 cents on $100 purchase tax that we use for funding operating and our capital expenses. You'll note that Arizona is not on this slide because Arizona does not contribute to transit. We do receive funds via ADOT, but they are passed through federal funds and so are recorded in that slice of the pie. The Federal Transportation Administration slice of this pie will show as slightly larger in future years due to our $17 million grant for electric vehicles and our downtown connection center. Next slide. Breaking down that federal funding slice of the pie, there are 4 different sources that make up that federal funding. We've been extremely successful in leveraging the local transit tax to secure federal funding for projects, plans, and initiatives. In fact, we have paid for our facilities, our bus stops, and all of our buses using 80% federal funding and 20% local money. Having local funding sources necessary to gain access to the federal dollars, and we prioritize that for capital projects. The orange slice of this pie is important to us because it is recognition of the programs that we provide and the high productivity we have. This funding source is defined by the Federal Transit Administration as small transit intensive cities. Essentially, they look at the service of places like Valley Metro, measure us against them, and they have 6 benchmarks in which if we are performing as well as that large system, we receive additional funding. Currently, we are receiving 6 of 6 measures, and we are one of 11 communities that have achieved that. Next slide. You all are probably familiar, but in case you aren't, this is the history of the transit tax. It was first established in 2000. It was renewed and increased in 2008, and then it renewed again in 2016. Next slide. Going back to the small transit intensive cities, again, that rewards high performing systems like Mountain Line with additional funding. This graph illustrates the small urban systems that exist in the state of Arizona. The blue bar is the number of boardings each of these systems provides, while the orange bar is the amount of appropriated 5307 money. 5307 is distributed based on population and density of the community. You will note there are 2 communities like Havasu and Prescott that receive 5307 money but actually have no services in place. The small transit intensive city funding actually equals out the amount of federal funds Flagstaff receives by rewarding our system for its high performance. And I'll just footnote that the 5307 money appropriated to communities without transit is then redistributed by the state through a competitive process. It does not necessarily go back to FTA. Next slide. A brief look at Mountain Line's legislative priorities. We are working on 2 state initiatives right now and have a bill that is sponsored by Representative Blackman that could result in an additional $6 million appropriation for our downtown connection center. Additionally, we're working with ADOT on that distribution of transit funding in a timely fashion. Federally, we've been working on reauthorization, and we were successful in increasing the stick set aside from 2% to 3%. And as already mentioned, that's important funding to our community. Next slide. I want to go back and talk a little bit more about other programs. We've been focused on the bus program, but we do also offer paratransit and a taxi program as an arm of that paratransit. Mountain Line's paratransit service is designed for people with disabilities who do not have functional ability to ride the bus. Those clients are also eligible for a taxi program, which is a cost-effective measure for Mountain Line to provide that service, and it offers a more convenient trip for the client, more individualized service. Next slide. Similar to the bus, we do track ridership across that system, and this is also available on our website. The picture is not that different from the bus system, although we are seeing a quicker recovery in our paratransit service demand than we are on the bus. And a lot of that is the defined ridership that uses paratransit that can't get around without it. Next slide. We also track the same for city taxi. We We like to see city taxi ridership high because it does reduce the overall operating cost of paratransit programs. Next slide. And the last part of our programs is the Mountain Express service. Mountain Express is free service between Flagstaff and Arizona Snowball, and it is 100% funded by Arizona Snowball. Ridership continues to grow each year, with the exception of COVID, as does the impact this service has had on congestion along Highway 180. Next slide. We do offer an EcoPass program. This encourages employers to buy passes for all employees at a deeply discounted rate, reducing the need for parking by the employer. Transit access is a valuable employee benefit, especially for employers like NAU who charge for parking or FMC who have limited parking. Next slide. We have been very focused on technology. We offer a transit app that allows riders to track our buses in real time, plan trips, and see when the next bus will arrive. We've recently added mobile ticketing, offering our riders an alternative to paying cash or owning a bus pass. And lastly, we introduced and launched a program, Say Now, which allows riders to report safety concerns in real time. Next slide. 68% of our riders say that Mountain Line is their only transportation, with 47% of our riders accessing work and 20% of our riders going to school. Next slide. Instead of looking back, we're going to look forward a little bit. As I alluded to earlier, we are in the middle of transitioning to zero emission buses. This is a plan that our board did adopt earlier this year. We have 2 buses on order now and expect to take delivery within the next 12 months, as long as the supply chain holds up. And we're excited to introduce and pilot these buses in our community to see what range we can get out of them and make better plans for future transition. Next slide. We are still in the process of our 5-year plan, known as Flagstaff in Motion. As the Flagstaff community changes and grows, it's important that Mountain Line services are evaluated to ensure transit can continue to meet the needs of the community. Mountain Line is in the process of identifying how best to provide and fund transit services. You can visit flagstaffinmotion.com to learn more and share your transit needs and priorities. Next slide. A big topic of discussion for us has been Northern Arizona Healthcare's potential move. So we wanted to illustrate what we have proposed as a way to meet their needs with transit and the estimated cost of that program. The conversation about service to NAH is an ongoing discussion with our partners and NAH. Next slide. And as we wind down and close out, if you were not aware, Mountain Line just celebrated its 20th anniversary in October. And these are just a couple of the tweets we were able to share. Most of you are probably familiar with Jeff Malbeck, who was a key individual in our launch and our success over the last several years. And with that, next slide. That is our brief update. And again, I want to thank you for your time today, but we'd be happy to answer any questions on the information that was shared.
Thank you so much. Council, do we have any questions at this time? Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. And thank you so much, Heather. That was great. And hello, Kate. I know that you're on this as well. Can you talk a little bit more about the paratransit, how people access it, how it's funded?
Yes.
Yeah, I guess those are the two things that I'm most interested in.
Okay, so paratransit is designed to meet the federal regulations to make sure that individuals who can't access the bus have complimentary service. That's the way it's designed. So it runs the same service hours, it covers the same span of area as the fixed routes. We actually go 3/4 of a mile as a crow flies from any route or stop. Is considered within the boundaries for paratransit, further defined as ADA service. To access that service, we do have an application process that's available by calling our office or visiting our website. We ask simple questions just to ascertain the ability to access stops. So a lot of clients qualify for what we call conditional service, meaning when they're going maybe to the mall, they could use a bus to do that, but their home doesn't have ADA accessible access to a bus stop, meaning it's too far to walk, it doesn't have curb cuts or anything along those lines. So we use that application to really help the client manage which service is most appropriate for them. That application can take up to 21 days, but after that, they're certified on the system. They can call and book their rides. We take reservations up to 5 p.m. the day before someone needs the ride. Occasionally, we accommodate same-day services depending on what we can fit within our service. The fare for that cannot be more than twice what it is for the bus. So it's $1.25 one way for the bus. It's $2.50 one way on the paratransit system. I hope that gives you kind of a round feel of the program, but I can get more specific. Okay.
And did you say that you receive federal funding for that?
Right.
I mean, I know that you receive a lot of different funding, but you receive federal funding for paratransit?
So the way the program's funded, and I apologize for not addressing that, is we fund it the same way we do the bus. So we get roughly $2.5 million a year in appropriated 5307 funds. And we use that to fund the operating of both the bus and the paratransit system. We can use that for up to 50% of the cost. Our programs actually cost much more than that. So the city of Flagstaff overmatches those funds.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember Sweet.
Hi, Heather. Thank you for being here, and I hope our community knows how lucky we are to have Mountain Line in Flagstaff. I'm wondering if you can speak to any of the efforts that may be happening in trying to get employees of the downtown to take the bus.
Sure, I can do my best. I may have to call on Kate to help fill in the blanks, but we have the EcoPass program, which I talked about a little bit in the presentation. The downtown business employers participate in that program. So everyone who works for those downtown employers has access to a free transit pass. What we've been doing is working with the employers to ensure that they have material that they can share with their employees our concern is that people didn't know the program existed. So we've been working with employers to ensure that information is available, employees know that it's an available option to them. We also worked on re-strategizing how the pass program was set up as compared to the parking pass program. Employees used to have to choose, and now they have the option of having both if they would like them. So we're very excited about some of those changes that we've only introduced, I think, within the last couple of weeks.
Great. I think that is very helpful, and I hope that all the business owners listening tonight can pass that information along. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Shimoni.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, General Manager Heather Donnell, and thank you so much for the presentation, and also good evening to Deputy General Manager Kate Morley and the team that's tuning in. Thank you for the update. Great update. And congrats and cheers to the community and all of us on 20 good years of both having Mountain Line running in Flagstaff and having Heather Donnellan working for Mountain Line. And so Heather's celebrating 20 years with us this year. So kudos to her and her leadership and work with us. We are beyond grateful for you and your dedication to all this in leadership. So I know you're not going to speak up on that front. So I had to, as the board chair for Mountain Line, to do it myself. It's been an honor working with Mountain Line as a elected and in the capacity as a board member, along with now the chair for the past, gosh, I don't even know, 10 years? No, I'm just kidding. It feels like 10 years, but maybe a year, if that. And a lot of gratitude to all those on council who served with Mountain Line or Metro Plan or any of the transportation topics. We have a whole range of partners in the community working on these things, and we all work together So thank you to my colleagues on council for your leadership, both with Mountain Line and with Metro Plan and other agencies. We appreciate it. I appreciate it. And a special shout out to Councilmember Sweet, who's a board director with myself with Mountain Line. So yeah, just wanted to do a quick shout out to everybody. Very impressive learning about the ridership uptick over the years. Nothing new to me, but always great to see that. And Mountain Line's just done a great job at servicing the community. You know, it really stands out that 68% of riders depend on Mountain Line. And I think most people on this call and maybe tuning in will not necessarily be in that 68%, right? A lot of us drive or ride our bikes or whatever it is, but we don't take the bus. So I just want to take a moment to challenge all of you to download the app and take the bus, experience it, you know, make that conscious choice to experience what that feels like. So you know what 68% of our ridership with Mountain Line is experiencing. And I think you'll be pretty pleasantly surprised. It's a very pleasant experience. The app works great, and I've used it. And you can bring your bike with you. It's great. And bring the kids, right there.
That's right.
That's right. And, you know, I just want to highlight that this past couple of years of COVID has been challenging, and Mountain Line has done a great job with Heather and Kate's leadership to ensure that safety is top priority, both for our employees and for the public, and has continued to help the community get from A to B. And so thank you for that and that hard work. Really grateful to the whole team and all the different groups that we work with, the TAC, the board, the staff, the leadership. I think you all do a great job. And it's been an honor again to serve as the board chair and really get into some of the details. I also want to just give a quick shout out to Representative Blackman for his help in helping us try to finish and get across the line when it comes to the DCC and the funding specifically for that. The Mountain Line board issued a letter of support, and we are just very grateful for his leadership at the state on our behalf. So just wanted to voice that here. And just lastly, kudos to the team for extremely effectively leveraging funding that we receive. I think that's the terminology you used, Heather.
You did.
And you all do amazing work above and beyond what you are given with the city funding. So it's just inspiring to see what can be done. And you all are very passionate about the work that you do. So it's contagious and we appreciate it. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Shimoni. I'm not seeing any additional C's and Q's in the chat box, so greatly appreciate the update from Mountain Line. Always love seeing you here and learning more about what's going on to help our community. Yeah, thank you again. We're ready to move on.
Thank you.
That brings us to agenda item number 7, the end of year update on minimum wage and Office of Labor Standards to provide information to council and obtain feedback and input on the management of the Office of Labor Standards. Mr. Rohdes.